Okay, so welcome everyone to our virtual sample class for the Instructor Guided English for Career Development program. We are so happy to have so many of you here to join us today. And my name is Sarah Arva Grasick, and I'm here with my colleagues, Robin Turner, who will be leading us through the demo lesson, Eula Cudden, and Elizabeth Gilstrom. And we're so happy to have you with us today. So I'm going to start just by telling you what you can expect from this session. So we're going to very briefly give you an introduction about who we are. So we come from the University of Pennsylvania's English language programs and give you some information about the course. Then Robin will lead you through the sample lesson. And at the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. So let's get started. Just very briefly, we come from the University of Pennsylvania, which is a university located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We are the 6th ranked university in the United States and 16 in the worldwide listings. And we are in the English language programs at the university. So we provide a wide variety of courses to international students from all over the world. So we do instructor guided online courses like what we will be showing you today, but we also have other types of instruction as well. People study with us in an intensive English program. We have university preparation programs, and we also have some remote short programs as well. So if you're interested in learning more about the types of programs we offer, you're welcome to explore our website, and we'll share a link for that later as well. And you may know us from some of the MOOCs that we've offered on Coursera. We have a long experience of offering online instruction and have some very large and popular MOOCs available on Coursera as well. So the course that we're talking about today is Instructor Guided English for Career Development. And what is this course? Well, it's a 5-week course, and the cost is $350. We will be giving you a coupon code at the end of the demo to use if you register in the next 2 days, and that would give you $25 off the tuition fee. The course is going to be running from September 14th to October 16th. So in less than 2 weeks, it will be starting. It's starting very soon. And it will take about 35 to 45 hours of learning time. So what that will look like is about 8 hours each week. And that includes asynchronous learning, which is going to be things that you can do on your own, independently. Things like video tutorials, readings, quizzes, and assignments. But it's also going to include a 1 hour per week synchronous meeting where you will meet with your classmates and instructor. And as someone asked earlier, it will not be a webinar format, but instead will be a general Zoom meeting format. So your video can be on and you can interact directly with your instructor. So in that live class meeting, you'll be able to have discussions with your peers, your classmates, and your instructor, and you'll have lots of opportunity for questions and answers about the course. And then another big component of this is that we will be giving you direct instructor feedback on course assignments. In particular, the resume that you write as a course assignment and a cover letter that you write. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to Robin Turner now, and she's going to tell you more about the course and then get into the sample lesson. So Robin, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Sarah. So welcome everyone. My name is Robin Turner, and I'm one of the instructors in the Instructor Guided English for Career Development. So I want to start by telling you a little bit about what this course is and how we help students in this course. Specifically, the first 2 points, course completion support and individualized aid from instructors, What that really means is that you're going to have an instructor who guides you through the process of working on assignments. Synchronous, as Sarah mentioned, this is live FaceTime each week with instructors and peers. So this is a chance for you to really work together. This is where teamwork, team-oriented opportunities, and also at the end, you will receive a certificate from Penn. One of the things that we also want to point out is that this course has been very helpful for a lot of students who have taken it before. And one of the things that these two speakers, Gabriella and Irina, if you take a look at their testimonials, right? Gabriella says she's a native speaker. However, your course gave me the opportunity to improve her vocabulary. The lessons were easy to understand. And Irina also, she points out a couple of key things about the organization. The materials wisely differentiated, all necessary points and blocks are repeated and summarized. So what both of these people are really showing you is what we aim for as the main goals of the course. We want you to be able to work on your language skills to help with your career development, but we also want to help people increase their confidence in the job search process. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through a sample lesson that would be similar to a live session that we would have once a week in the course. And in this sample lesson, we're going to talk about job postings and application letters. So to begin with, we're going to look at applying for a job. And in this lesson, you're going to be working on your reading, discussion, and job application skills. And the three things we really want to focus on here is, first, we're going to reflect and discuss what's in a job posting or an advertisement. And then we also want to look at the structure. What does a job posting look like? Keywords. And then we're going to look at an application letter that matches the job posting. Okay, so before we get started, let's think about this, right? We're going to look at an example, and before you read the text, let's just take a few minutes together and think about these questions and share your ideas in the chat. So the first one is, what kind of information do you normally find in a job posting or job advertisement? And what do you think is the most important information that you're looking for? So I'll give you some time to write down some ideas in the chat. Okay, see Mohammed, he put skills required, job title, very good one, salary. We all like to know about salary. Experience and skills, absolutely. Qualifications.
Qualifications, yep.
Yes, very good one. Oh, I like that, full-time. Employee benefits, yes, good job postings will point out those types of things too. Facilities, activities. You all sound like very experienced job seekers. Absolutely,
Yep.
Education, yeah.
Yep, education. Robin and I keep seeing the same great ideas.
Yes, I know. Schedules, opportunities. These are great. All right, work area, right? What does the company look like? Qualifications. Absolutely, job responsibilities. Oh, I like that someone put mission. I think that's an interesting one. Information about a company, absolutely. So as you can see what's coming up on the screen, as everyone is giving us some great ideas, right? We're thinking about what we already know about job postings, and we're going to put that together and take that information as we start to read our sample. So you've all identified some fabulous things that we do find in job postings. And maybe what I want to point out is the structure of job postings. Even though different companies and different places advertise jobs in different ways, there's some general things that are usually found in the posting. For example, the job title, the organization name. And remember, an organization can be either a company, an educational institution, nonprofit. There's usually a brief description of the job and the organization, a list of specific duties or responsibilities, a list of required qualifications, and then one more thing, a list of preferred characteristics. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so some of the key words in a job posting, and we're going to look at a sample together. As you mentioned, company values and mission. Someone also put personal qualities, specific knowledge needed. Right? There's still some fabulous ideas popping up here. Required education and training, other details. Some people mentioned benefits, schedules, things like that. One of the things I want to just point out is that because we are focused on looking at job postings in North America, most job postings are offered to everyone. It's equal opportunity employment. So there is no mention of identifying information such as age or gender. And also, we don't include our photos when we are applying for a job. This may be a slight difference from other countries in which you may include a photo of yourself with your resume. So we're going to do a practice where we're going to read a job posting for a medical receptionist. And then we're going to work to identify the structure of the job advertisement, identify keywords, and then look at an application letter. So let's take a look. This is a job posting that was found on a website for a medical receptionist. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds or so to just read through and skim through the job description. Don't worry, we're going to go through and look at each part separately. Okay. So let's take a look at we're going to look at each part of the job posting. So the first part that we see is the title, medical receptionist. And the next part that you'll see is the description. And here you're going to find out more. It's an overview, a general idea of the job and the job candidate. So here in this one, you see ABC Medical Office looking for a medical receptionist to join our expanding primary care practice. The candidate should have experience as a medical receptionist. This is a full-time position which requires an energetic, organized individual who thrives in a fast-paced environment. So let's think about this for a second. What do you think a medical receptionist is? What do you think are some duties for this type of job? Yes, greeting customers is a very good idea. Assist patients with appointments, making appointments. Absolutely. Rita, she says, answering phone calls. Hanadi says communication. Absolutely. Right? One of the things I also want to point out in the description is that you'll see this is a full-time position which requires an energetic, organized individual who thrives in a fast-paced environment. This sentence tells you a lot about the office. Right? This is a busy office, fast-paced environment. Right? So they're telling you about the type of person they're looking for. If you look down here at job purpose, you'll see this is the main job responsibility, helping patients provide clinical and business office assistance in the office. And just like you're all pointing out, booking appointments, greeting patients, all of these are very, very good ideas. Because if you look at the next part, you'll see the primary functions. These are the specific job duties required for this job. And I did see someone point out earlier that they were asking, what is EMR? That simply is electronic medical records. Okay? This is another type of database where doctors' offices collect information about patients. So this is the primary responsibilities of this job. But then you'll also see there are some things like perform reminder calls for appointments, greeting patients. Let's take a look at the next part, which is attributes. Attributes is another word for preferred characteristics of the job seeker. This is what the company or the medical office would like this person to do or be like. So for example, they're looking for someone who's dependable, community-oriented team player, strong, effective, verbal, and written communications, proficient time management skills. So if you think about it, what type of person are they looking for? They want someone who is energetic. They want someone who is organized. These are the types of characteristics they are looking for. The next part you'll see is the education or qualifications. And here you'll see these are the requirements. So this is something the job seeker must have. For example, if you look at the first part, it says Bachelor of Arts preferred, high school diploma or GED equivalent is required. Let me ask you, what is the difference between preferred and required? So when you see the required is compulsory, you're right. Daniel says required is a must, mandatory. Preferred is not required, right? Oh, I like that. Preferred is not important, but is good. Right? Absolutely. So here you can see that they require someone to have at least a high school diploma, but they would prefer someone to have some university experience. Let's take a look at some of the other preferences. 1 year of experience is preferred, but willing to train motivated individuals. Right? They will teach you some of these skills if you don't already have them. Same thing with knowledge of computerized information services. Remember, electronic medical records. This is a preferred requirement, but maybe it's okay if you don't have it. They're willing to train you how to use it. And finally, the last part of the job posting that I want to point out is what we just call extra information. And so in this particular posting, what we saw was flexibility of scheduled hours and benefits. So they're just telling you that there are paid holidays, vacation time, and that you can change your schedule. The next part I want to look at is if you were going to apply for this job, you would write an application letter. This is one of the things that we will work on in the course, and you will get specific instruction and feedback about. And one of the things that we do is we have you write your own letter applying for a job. In this sample letter, let's take a look at how this job seeker has gone and written a letter to apply for this job. and what are the key words that he or she, job e-seeker, is using to match their qualifications and their experience to apply for this job. So I'll give you a second to read through. So let's look at the first paragraph specifically. And let me ask you this. When you read through this and you see the words that are highlighted in red, fluency in 2 languages, experience working with diverse groups of people, and office skills, what part of the job posting do these highlighted words relate to? Do they relate to the description? Do they relate to characteristics of the job seeker? Yeah, these are related to requirements, skills, characteristics. Absolutely. If you look at the second paragraph, we see what else do we see here? Now we see they're pointing out, I have experience with electronic medical record programs, study abroad experience in the United States, internship experience at the University of Madrid Health Center, developed proficiency in other languages, interaction with others in a medical office, and interpersonal skills. Absolutely. Hala says this is experience, professional experience, skills, qualifications, absolutely. Technological or educational knowledge. These are great. Educational background, absolutely. All of these are absolutely correct. So this letter that job e-seeker is writing, notice how this person has matched what their letter would look like related to the job posting. So when you are in the course, we're going to look specifically at job postings and how to write your cover letter and how to adjust your resume so that you are matched to the job you want to apply for. One of the key things that we go over is this idea of looking at these similar features in job postings. Right? All of them have a job description, duties, responsibilities. Some of them also include things about characteristics or attributes. And then we read the postings very carefully, find those keywords, and then we connect the application letter to the job posting. So we will go ahead in the course, and that's what we do. This is how we would help you to achieve your goals. It's tough looking for a job, we know that, but what we try to do is help people to learn the conventions of the job search process, We also try to help you identify professional skills, understand the job postings and advertisements, create your cover letter and resume, for which you will receive direct instruction and feedback. And then we also focus on developing social networking skills and job interviewing. So those are also part of the course.
Okay, thank you so much, Robin, for
You're
going
welcome.
through that. And thank you all for joining us today. Again, we really appreciate you taking the time. So this was just a very short sample of what you will experience in the course. Again, in the course, we will be able to interact with you more because the class meetings will be smaller. And you will be getting a lot of opportunities to interact with your classmates and with your instructor in the course. And as Robin said, you know, we understand that the job search process is challenging and difficult. So this course is designed to really help guide you through that process and give you feedback so that you are as prepared as possible for that process. So now that we've finished up the sample lesson portion, we'd like to turn it over to you for questions. So if you have questions, please type them in the chat. And we also have a few questions for you. So I'm just going to share a poll with you with just a few very basic questions. We'd like to know how old you are, where you live, and whether you are satisfied with the webinar, and just a few other questions. So if you don't mind, please take a minute to answer those questions for us, and then we're here to answer questions for you because we know there are a lot of questions about the course and yeah, so let's get started with questions.
Hi, Sarah. Someone wants to know if we can share the course curriculum. Probably for this webinar.
That's a great question. For the webinar, well, there will be a recording of this webinar that we will email you or email you the link to. Also on our website, you can see more information about the objectives of the course and a bit more detail as well. And we'll share that link with you as well.
Hi, Sarah. Someone wants to know if we can help with developing social networks and networking.
I'm going to actually let Robin answer that one because yes, the answer is yes, but I think Robin can provide a really good answer to that.
I was just typing my answer to that, actually. Yes, so that's a great question. What we do focus on in the course is something called networking. And networking is the way that we talk to other people and the way that we talk about our skills as a professional and we connect with others. Sometimes it is done through social networking websites, for example, LinkedIn, but sometimes it is also done in face-to-face conversations. For example, if you went to a professional conference, you would be networking because you meet with other people and you talk to them about who you are, what you do, and then what your skills are.
Great, thanks, Robin. Other questions, Elizabeth?
Yep, so we have, someone wants to know if this course will be open in other months of the year besides September.
That's a great question. Yes, I think it probably will be. I'm not sure exactly our schedule for future offerings. Robin, do we have anything planned explicitly?
We don't have anything planned yet after September, but we are thinking for the spring to be offering it again.
So someone wants to know what IGECD stands for.
IGECD stands for Instructor Guided English for Career Development.
Great question, and sorry for not making that clear for you.
So we have lots of other questions here. I'm trying my best to keep up. Someone wants to know, how important are linguistic skills during an interview?
That's a wonderful question. I think it depends certainly on the job that you are applying for, right? So if you are applying for a job where you will only communicate very minimally, for example, maybe you are applying for a job where you will work in a lab and communication is not a big part of the job, then maybe it won't be considered as important. But for jobs where communication is a component, is one of the primary duties or responsibilities of the position, then I think communication is very important. And even for jobs where you won't be communicating as a primary responsibility, it is important to be able to communicate clearly and to sell yourself in the job interview so that the employer is confident that you are able to do the job well. Robin, would you like to add anything to that?
Absolutely. Everything that Sarah said, I agree with 100%. I would only add that, remember, a job interview is your first impression with your new employer. So as with any other type of first impression, your communication skills are really important to show who you are and how well you can express yourself.
So we have lots of other questions here. Someone wants to know if they'll get a certificate for the course when it concludes. And I think we should explain the difference between this webinar and the 5-week course.
Yes, so at the end of the course, the 5-week course, you will receive a certificate of completion. And however, I don't believe there is a certificate at the end of today's webinar.
Some other questions. Someone just asked, will the course help with college applications into Ivy Leagues? So I'll just answer this one real quickly. We have another MOOC that can help you with that, as well as a Writing the University Application Essay course that we offer, and you can find the link on our website, and we'll put that in the chat. And you should note that writing a university application essay is very different than writing a job resume and cover letter. So those are 2 separate courses. Okay, another question here. Is the IGECD course addressed for fresh graduates only or also mid-career?
That's a great question. One of the things that we focus on in the beginning of the course is just identifying your skills specific to yourself. And so for people at various levels in their professional career, they have a different set of skills, and we will help you. That's part of why having an instructor and meeting together once a week and talking with each other. This is how we help each other to identify skills to address wherever you are in your professional journey.
Someone wants to know, are we going to practice some mock interviews?
You can, absolutely. One of the things that one of the assignments at the end of the course is where you get to practice answering questions. So what would you say in response to certain very general interview questions that are almost always asked in a job interview?
Okay, someone wants to know what the group discussions are going to look like in the IGECD course.
Great question. Unlike today where I can't see you, I will be able to see you in the actual course. And what we frequently do is we have instructor starts the course, and I would then break you into small groups to work on something. So for example, there might be a topic that you're working on, and you would have a chance to interact with each other. And you can do that via chat. You can also do that through speaking directly to each other. And
someone wants to know if one-page resumes are mandatory these days.
it's hard to say. What do you think, Sarah?
I think it depends on your field, certainly. And it also depends where you are in your career. So if you are new to the job market and you're applying for entry-level positions, then it may be that the one-page resume is what is expected. I know in some business fields, even for higher level professionals, they often will have a one-page resume. But in other fields, like in academia, it's quite common for people to have more extended CVs where it would be multiple pages. So it depends on the field and also your level of experience, I would say.
A couple more questions I need to circle back to. Someone wants to know if the discount can be used on some of our other courses, the $25 off coupon.
That is a great question. I am not quite sure, but if you send us an email Elizabeth will put it in the chat, so you don't have to listen to me say it. We could talk to you about that possibility.
Okay, so someone wants to know how much the course will be after the coupon.
Great question. So the course is $350 for the 5-week course. And so then after the $25 coupon code, it would be $325.
So someone also wants to know how many students will be in each Zoom meeting.
Another great question. It shouldn't be more than 50, but likely it will be less than that, I think. Probably somewhere around 20 or 30 would be my guess.
Someone wants to know if we have any good web pages to help with their job search.
Absolutely. In the course, we will talk about what to do to find jobs. And there are some very popular websites that we use. And so we would share that information during the course, because one of the assignments is making a resume cover letter based on a job that you want to apply for. So we would definitely point you in that direction.
Someone says that they feel like their English is not very good and they're a little worried whether or not they can take the course. Would it be very difficult for them?
I could take that one, Robin. So I think the course is differentiated and has different levels of materials so that it can be accessible to people with lower proficiency levels of English, but also more challenging for those who have higher, more advanced levels of English proficiency. So we really do try to make the course accessible to people, even if they do not have a very high level of English proficiency. Robin, would you like to add anything?
No, I absolutely agree with that. What we've done when we made the course is that we made all of the videos with transcripts so that when you are watching a video, you would also be able to see the words on the screen. So if you're worried about your listening, you'll be able to follow along.
So I just want to encourage everyone, if we haven't gotten to your question yet, feel free to repeat your question in the chat. I'm doing my best to keep up with everyone, and we don't want to miss any of your great questions, because this interactive portion is one of the highlights of the Instructor Guided English for Career Development. And we all know that the job search can be very painful. And so this interactive portion where you can rapid fire questions to us and we respond is one of the best assets of the course. So we have someone who asks, could an infographic resume be more impressive and effective than a normal one?
I think that's a great question. I would say that it really depends on the field that you are in. If you are in a more conservative field or a field that's maybe a bit more old-fashioned or formal, then maybe not. But if you are in a creative field or a field in the arts, then perhaps something like that would be very appealing. Robin, what do you think?
Yes, I agree with that. So one of the things, if you are in web design or things like that, sometimes employers will ask for samples or a portfolio of your work. And so when they ask for things like that, they may be specifically saying, show us what you can do. So an infographic would be more resembling what your skills are.
So many great questions here. I'm just going to rapid fire answer a few. Someone wants to know if there's any financial aid available in this course like Coursera. There's not 100% financial aid like Coursera has when you complete the form and take it for free, but we will offer a discount code in just a few minutes here at the end of the webinar that you can use to register for the course more cheaply. Someone else asked, would you make another English course for search for universities? And we do have 2 courses available that we'll post in a link to our website. One is writing the university application essay, and one is applying to US universities. So back to our experts, Sarah and Robin. Someone says, that they're taking the 5-week course right now on Coursera, and they just want to know, is there a limited time to finish because they've had some delays with the quizzes?
I think Eula
is
actually our expert on that.
On Coursera, you can extend your deadlines. You can join the next cohort repeatedly, I think at least for a year, without it affecting. So you can just, if you can't complete, if you get behind, they'll give you the opportunity to reset your deadlines.
There's lots of other great questions here. Someone wants to know if journalism is a dying field. I think that's a great question. None of us are journalism experts, but some of our colleagues are, and we do have an English for Journalism MOOC that addresses this. And I'd say it's not likely it's dying, it's just changing. Another question for our experts here, Sarah and Robin, what is the differences between a CV and a resume actually?
I did see that question, and I think that's a great one. So one of the things here in the United States is we often refer to one's list of their education and past experience as a resume, but it can also be referred to as a CV or curriculum vitae. So this is something that is used interchangeably here. So it means the same thing for us. So sometimes cover letter and resume, we would separate those and use it like that, but it's really the same thing. It's a detailed list of your educational background, your qualifications and experiences.
I would just add that there is a slight difference in academia generally, whereas a resume would be more descriptions of what you've done in previous job postings, whereas a CV would not have those extensive descriptions, but would have additional information that isn't generally included on a resume, like publications, presentations, service in the field and things like that, also research and grants. So there is a slight difference when you're looking at a CV and a resume in academia.
Someone says, I would like to know if this course will help me to control my stress in an interview.
Oh, I'm so glad we came back to this question. I did see this one. So one of the things that I think a lot of the stress in an interview is not knowing what to expect. And so what we focus on in the last unit actually of the course is the expectations, what is coming in a job interview. And this is one of the key things about increasing your confidence, is that when you know what to expect and you can prepare for it, that will reduce your stress level in an interview.
You guys have so many great questions. Thank you, Robin and Sarah. Just a reminder to complete the poll if you haven't done so already. We have another question. Someone wants to know, what are well-paying career options with political science or journalism? Are these things addressed in the course?
We don't go into specific fields in the course. What we are targeting throughout the course is the language skills necessary to complete parts of the job search process. But I believe that when we meet together, together as a class in those live meetings, that's a really good opportunity to work with other learners and the instructor to talk about these types of questions. Right? What are some career opportunities for people who studied biomedical engineering? Or what is a good career path for people who studied political science? And that's where the networking happens, where you talk to other people about what you have done and what you'd like to do maybe professionally. So that's where I think our weekly meetings will probably be the most beneficial for these kinds of specific questions.
Thank you, Robin. Someone wants to know, how does a multilingual person create a better or different impression?
Wow, that's a great question. I think highlighting your multilingual skills on your resume and in your cover letter can be very beneficial. Having proficiency in multiple languages is definitely an asset that you can sell. And especially if you find the right job where multilingualism is valued and a component of the job duties, then that can be a really good match for you, I would say. I also am just going to flip to the last slide. We can keep the questions going, but I wanted to make sure that I shared the code that you can use for the $25 off the course registration. Okay, so it is here. Elizabeth will put it in the chat as well for you, but we can keep answering the questions as well.
Sorry, everyone, just give me a second.
Sure, I did see someone ask have these courses always been online or just now due to the pandemic. We created these courses as MOOCs, as massive online open courses. And then we've started, now all of our classes are remote. So we've transitioned some of our programs to remote offerings. And because the massive open online course version of this course, we don't get to interact with people directly because the class is so big. We thought it would be helpful to offer an instructed guided version of this course. So the instructor guided version of the course is new, but we've been running MOOCs for about 5 years now, and we've had other online courses for some time, but at this moment, all of our courses are online due to the pandemic.
Okay, so another question that I think was really good. Is this course going to be beneficial for those applying to be teachers?
Great question. Thank you for applying to be a teacher, number one. And yes, I think absolutely, right? So teachers, just like everyone else, have to go through the application process, have to search job postings, must create a resume or a CV and cover letters when they apply, and must go through interview processes, and sometimes very complicated interview processes that take lots of stages. You may also have to submit a portfolio of lesson plans and teaching experience, like Robin was mentioning before, in other fields that also have to submit portfolios. So absolutely, I would say that any fields really could benefit from this course, but certainly teaching as well.
Someone else wants to know, they say, oh, we think we're sounding a little silly, but what do I have to do in order to speak English like a native speaker?
Robin, you want to take that one or you want me to?
I mean, I think the more you practice, the more confident you become in your speaking abilities. And one of the things that I think we like to tell students very often is that if you're not a native speaker, the goal is not to sound like a native speaker, but your goal is to communicate effectively and clearly. And that's what we really want to help you with.
Yes, absolutely. So, it can be hard in a foreign language to sound exactly like a native speaker, but it's not really necessary to sound like a native speaker. And sometimes we think that accented English sounds cute as well. So you shouldn't always strive for that native speaker ideal. Instead, like Robin said, you want to be able to communicate effectively and clearly and efficiently. And that's what we're striving for when we're working with our learners.
Sarah and Robin, thank you everyone, Sarah and Robin, for these great answers. These are such thoughtful, articulate, and helpful answers. The job search process can be really painful, and I think these answers have already helped a lot of people. Just a reminder to everyone to please go ahead and complete the poll if you haven't done so already. One great question we haven't addressed yet is, how is language proficiency determined? How do you know how proficient you are?
That's a wonderful question. So I think, you can, if you've taken classes, you may have been placed into a level, so you may have some knowledge there. There are also different descriptors, like the Common European Framework has descriptors of what you can do at different levels of English or at different levels of any language. So you could read through those and kind of assess yourself and say, can I do this in English? Yes or no, and kind of determine what level you are. And finally, there are also online and app-based language assessment tools that you can use. Some of them are even free and openly available now. They can give you, where you take just an online quiz or an app-based quiz and get yourself a determination of your proficiency level. So I think there's lots of ways to try to determine your proficiency level.
So someone asked a while ago, and I apologize for being so late getting to this. They want to know, are there any free courses for improving their English communication skills?
So I think you should definitely check out our MOOCs on Coursera because these are open and they address a variety of different topics. For example, business and entrepreneurship or journalism. We also have STEM, media literacy, in addition to career development too.
And Robin, what's the difference between the
Another
MOOCs
question that came up a
and
while ago.
Instructor Guided English for Career Development?
I think that's the great question. So what we want to leave you with is to know that the Instructor Guided English for Career Development is going to give you more individual feedback than you would get in the MOOC. So in the Instructor Guided version, you'll work you're going to get individual feedback from the instructor, but you'll also get to work with other learners, and you'll have a chance for more interaction than you would in the MOOC.
Apologies, Eula, I interrupted you, please.
That's okay. There was another question about interaction in the course a while ago, and they asked how the students or how the participants in the class would interact with each other, and would there be a Facebook page?
That's a really fun idea. I kind of like that. What we will do in the course, because it is a Zoom meeting rather than a webinar style, where you will be able to see each other, you will be able to talk directly to each other. So that's one way that you'll get to interact with a variety of people in addition to the instructor. But we could also explore the idea of making a Facebook group. And so there's many ways, and that's just one great example of networking. And that's how we do it, when you meet people and you connect with them.
Also, just to add on to that, the course itself is hosted on Canvas, which is a learning management system, and there will be discussions there as well. So you'll be able to have written discussions with your classmates, but also it allows for audio or video discussions as well. So people can post and do a lot of networking there in that space.
Someone asked how they financially enroll in the course, like what's the process? I'll real quickly address that. If you follow the link to the course that I've put in the chat, you can pay via credit card. And if you apply the coupon code that I put right there in the chat, that will give you a $25 discount. So as long as you have a credit card, either your credit card or a family member's credit card, you can enroll in the course. Another really great question just showed up. How many opportunities will we have to rework on our applications and cover letters and resumes in the course?
That's a good question. Because the course is 5 weeks, and there are opportunities for multiple drafts. So what you would be able to do is submit an assignment, for example, a cover letter. You could get instructor feedback. You can also get feedback from other learners, and then you would have a chance to rewrite it and then submit it again to see if your changes are making it more clear.
I think it's 2:59, so we probably should wrap up the questions. Apologies that I didn't get to everyone's questions in the chat. There were so many great questions. And if you need to ask further questions, you can email us at this link I'm typing into the chat right now. And I'll pass it back to Sarah and Robin to say their farewells.
Yes, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining our webinar. And as Elizabeth said, please do keep in touch. If you have questions, feel free to reach out by email. And we look forward to seeing you again in a course with us.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us and for your great participation and questions. And so we're really hopeful that you will join us in September for Instructor Guided English for Career Development.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.